Hey there, Buffs fans. I'm Terris.
And I'm Neumeier.
We're back for another episode of Buff Sports Live after a surprisingly warm week of weather in Boulder. So, Corey, semester just started. How are you feeling?
I'm not doing too bad. You know, I'm kind of glad to be back in the groove. How about yourself?
Right, same here. Anyway, let's get back into it.
The Colorado women's basketball team had a bit of a rocky weekend up north against the Oregon schools, starting with a loss on Friday against the 25th ranked Oregon State Beavers. CU shot a dismal 31.4% from the field after the first quarter and tallied a season low in assists and rebounds. While they stayed in it with a solid defensive effort, the Buffs fell by a score of 68-62.
Following the loss, J.R. Payne, Jalen Sherrod, and the rest of Colorado women's basketball needed a big win to avoid a slump. And a defensive masterclass against the Oregon Ducks at their place on Sunday was the key to doing just that. CU held the Ducks to a 4 for 23 first half of shooting, surviving a brief second half push to claim a 61-48 victory. Oregon native Aronette Vonleh guided the Buffs offense with 16 points and 10 rebounds, her first double-double in nearly 3 months.
Splitting their series away in Oregon was enough to put the Buffaloes at number 6 in this week's AP poll, which is their lowest spot since Christmas. The AP voters were graceful towards the Buffaloes compared to rival UCLA, who lost 5 points in the poll after suffering upsets to number 20 ranked Utah and unranked Washington State within the week. Five schools currently sit above Colorado, including conference opponent Stanford, and with only 9 games of conference play left for the Buffaloes, many Colorado fans are now looking towards the Pac-12 tournament to boost their ranking come March Madness.
CU women's basketball won 2 separate Colorado Women's Sports Awards this past week. Senior point guard Jalen Sherrod earned 2023 College Athlete of the Year for basketball, and head coach J.R. Payne won the Joan Birkeland Leadership Award. Sherrod led the Buffs to the Sweet 16 round of last year's NCAA tournament last season. She returned for her 5th season and is now the heart and soul at the top of the key for the 6th-ranked team in the nation. In her 8th season at Colorado, Payne has built a culture of never backing down and hard work on and off the court to bring CU into the elite crop of college women's basketball.
After sweeping Washington in the season series, the men's basketball team hoped to do the same against Washington State on Saturday. KJ Simpson led the Buffs with 25 points and another big scoring burst against the Cougars, but the WSU defense shut down the supporting cast. With the Cougars at home and in hold of their momentum, their offense flowed through Miles Rice as Washington State went on to win 78-69. With the Buffs currently on the brink of March Madness, they head to Utah for a much-needed win to jumpstart the final stretch of the regular season.
Buffs point guards KJ Simpson and Jalen Sherrod received more national recognition this week. The top 20 men's and women's John Wooden midseason award watch lists were released this past week, and both appeared on their respective lists. The Wooden Award is presented to the most outstanding player in college basketball every year. Sherrod is leading the 6th-ranked women's teams this season, averaging 14 points and 5 assists per game. For Simpson, he's averaging 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. A Colorado player has never won the Wooden Award in its history. The award has been given out for nearly 47 years on the men's side and 20 years on the women's.
The Buffs are currently at home to take on Wyoming for the first game of their home series. The puck drops in about 45 minutes, and SBS crew Nick Evans and Patrick Dawson are at the rink, ready to give you the full rundown on everything that's happened for Buffs hockey over the past week. You'll hear from them after the break.
Who wants to do basketball? Who wants to do football? Who wants to do soccer? Who wants to do volleyball?
That's so sick. Did Christian just say that?
Videography. Anyone want to do that?
Hello everyone and welcome to the CU Rec Center. We are here tonight for a D2 hockey game. It should be a great game. Here is set for face-off at 7 p.m. against the D2 Wyoming team. I think this is your first ever hockey game commentating, right Patrick?
Yeah, this is going to be quite the experience. I'm looking forward to it. I love this sport. It's going to be the time of my life.
Yeah, and with that being said, we have a bit of a pregame show going on for you guys. Patrick, how should tonight go between the D2 team for Wyoming and Colorado?
Well, both teams, no secret, they're towards the bottom of the standings, so it's going to be a competitive game in the aspect as both teams are relatively similar. Some of the better guys on the Buffs, Tanner Simpson on a 6-game pointless streak. He's been struggling recently. We expect Lawrence in net for the Buffs tonight, though, if you want to add anything about that.
Yeah, Lawrence had a bit of a cold start last time we were out here. I believe it was the Texas game last time we were out here at the rec center. A bit of a cold start. I believe he got pulled in that game, so it's going to be interesting to see how he starts. But this D2 game, they're going to have back-to-back games. They're going to be against Colorado State tomorrow. And speaking of more hockey, we've got our women's team right now away at Utah. They're going to be playing, I believe they're playing right now actually, and they'll be playing tomorrow morning. And then our D1 team is also on the road. Going to be looking both of those teams for a playoff run. And as for the D2 game, Wilson game. As you said, a lot of cold players that we hope are going to start off a lot hotter.
Yep, it's a big weekend of hockey for the Buffaloes, and I think that's all we got for now. Back to you guys at the desk.
Hey there, Buffs fans. I'm Terris Harris.
And I'm Corey Neumeier.
We're back for another episode of Scub Buff. The highly anticipated Big 12 schedule for Buffalo football was announced early Tuesday morning, giving Buffs fans the important dates for their inaugural season in the new conference. The 2024 season will start strong with a challenging series, facing both rival schools Nebraska and Colorado State on the road for weeks 2 and 3. The game versus Colorado State will mark the first Rocky Mountain shutout in Fort Collins since 1996. Conference play will then start, involving schools the Buffs haven't faced since leaving the Big 12 in 2011, with the exception of Cincinnati. The Buffaloes have played the Bearcats just one time, which was all the way back in 1972. It was later announced that the Kansas Jayhawks will be playing at Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Kansas City Chiefs for their home games, including their matchup against Colorado on November 23rd.
Earlier this week, the Buffs gained another huge addition to their defense. B.J. Green, an incoming defensive edge transfer from Arizona State, will be a part of Buffalo football for his 4th year of eligibility. Green had committed to the University of Washington until December, until head coach Colin DeBoer's departure, and by last Sunday, 24/7 Sports announced he was likely to play in Boulder instead. Green played for all 12 of the Sun Devils games this past season and was ranked the 2nd highest defensive lineman for the program. With his commitment, Colorado notches their 7th four-star transfer, placing them as the 5th-ranked transfer program by 24/7 Sports.
Colorado's tennis team traveled to Stanford to play in the Intercollegiate Tennis Association kickoff. The Buffs faced the Cardinal, who are ranked as the 2nd-best team in the country on Friday. Although Colorado led early in the game, Stanford made a comeback and landed the black and gold their first defeat of the season, beating the Buffs by a score of 4-1. CU stayed on Stanford's campus as they took on UNLV in the next day, going home with the win with a score of 4-2. CU's next match is against UNC Greensboro in Laramie, Wyoming on Saturday.
The Buffs men's golf team went on the road to play the Southwestern Invitational in Westlake Village, California. The first round on Monday was a disappointment as CU finished 11th place out of the 12 teams playing, although they were tied at 6th place during one point. The black and gold bounced back in the second round on Tuesday, leapfrogging the standings to finish in 2nd place. CU wrapped up their play in the Southwestern Invitational on Wednesday in the 3rd round.
2 more Buffs were given awards in the past week, as Schreiber James, a forward for CU soccer, earned the 2023 College Athlete of the Year. James led the Pac-12 in goals in her senior season, leading Colorado's charge to the NCAA tournament this past fall. Morgan Miller, a CU women's golfer, earned the same honor. She's been a phenom for the Buff golfers throughout her sophomore season and surely has a bright 2024 up ahead of her. Both of these athletes are on different paths, with James having played her last game with the black and gold, but they have both made massive imprints for women's athletes all around CU.
Don't touch that dial. We've got a very special rapid fire and the trivia question coming up after the break.
What's up, Buff fans? My name's Talus Schreiber, and I'm bringing you this week's edition of Rapid Fire. Look, if you're watching for hockey, but we have some other big sports going on this week in Boulder and around the country. Tomorrow, Boulder goes to Steamboat to host their annual ski racing event. This event includes Nordic and Alpine. I will be covering that. You can check out our social media on Instagram and Twitter, as well as my social media for all the information on that. We also have track that day. Go check out the track. They will be hosting a meet in Boulder. And then track is also in Washington at the same time. Funny how that works, 2 places at one time. Tennis will be in Wyoming. Utah men's basketball will be in Utah, taking on the Utah Utes. That is February 3rd at 3 p.m. If you cannot get out to Utah for some reason to watch that, who could? Make sure to watch it on the Pac-12 network. Next week, though, we do have Sunday. We have tennis again in Laramie, Wyoming. Women's basketball, our beloved female Buffs take on Washington in Seattle. That game will be on Sunday, February 4th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can watch that also on Pac-12. Monday and Tuesday, skiing will be in Dillon this time at DU's hosted event. If you have the opportunity, drive up, see how it goes. ASU will be coming to Boulder for men's basketball. The Buffs will be taking on the Devils this coming Thursday at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. If you, for some reason, can't make it to the event center, check it out on FS1. That's all for this week's events, and make sure to just enjoy hockey. Thanks, I'm Talus Schreiber.
This past weekend showcased the AFC Conference Championship battle between the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs, where the Chiefs won 17-10. Buffalo football coach Deion Sanders showed support for the Chiefs, congratulating Travis Kelce on his performance on X, formerly known as Twitter. Deion also tweeted at Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, expressing his love for him as not only a head coach, but also as a friend.
It's now time for this week's trivia question. This week we want to ask you, when was the last time the D1's men's hockey team made nationals? Drum roll, please. The answer is 2018. And with that, that's all we have for you, Buffs fans. We appreciate your valuable time that you've dedicated to us for this week's show. While we're done here at the studio, we still have SBS crew out in the field.
Here's Patrick and Nick out on the rink for more Buffalo hockey.